Hey True Believers, Englentine here with another Comic Book Origins. If you're new here, Comic Book Origins are simple. We just take a look at the first appearance of any character or team. In this case, we are looking at Mysterio! Created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko in 1964, Quentin Beck tried to be an actor, failed, and figured out, okay, he's going to be a stuntman and a special effects wizard. Unfortunately, found that to be a dead end as well, and figured his ability to create illusions could make him a master criminal. And therefore, he took on the likes of Spider-Man and Daredevil. Ended up appearing in Spider-Man Far From Home 2019, this summer, as of this recording. And frankly, I thought he was the best part of the movie, and I loved seeing how he could be who he was. Yeah, I know not a lot of people liked the movie. My wife didn't. I at least like that part. But that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about the movie. We're talking about the comic books. And this was a commissioned video. Hey, Englentine, what's a commissioned video? You should tell us all about how we could do that. Well, you go on over to Ko-Fi. And all you have to do is pick any category you want. Bad comic beatdown. Really that bad. Those are two different kinds of stories. But also we have so many more categories. You just pick whatever category you want. Comic book origins. Comic books were better. Those are the top 10 lists. You tell me what character, what story you want me to talk about, and boom, I do a video for you. And easy peasy. But with all that aside, let's get into the first appearance of Mysterio, Amazing Spider-Man, number 13. As always, we start off with looking at the cover. In all honesty, there's a reason this isn't iconic. You know, the first appearance of Doc Ock, that's an iconic cover, same as the Vulture, same as, Spider-Man number 1. This, however, it looks like a comic book page rather than a comic book cover. So it's saying, we've done it. We've created the greatest villain of all for old Spidey, Mysterio. Who or what is he? What's this? Spider-Man turning to crime? You're in for a real shock. Ever see a comic mag superhero take his troubles to a psychiatrist? You will now. Seriously, it's a mess. There's no real focus, you know. Just take that central, take the picture of Spider-Man fighting off Mysterio. Boom, you would have had something iconic. I think this is a fail of a cover. Got a fail of a cover to tell you, lads. Shoot the Splash page would have made a better cover, as we see Spider-Man running away with a big old money bag with a $sign on it. I would love Banks to just carry those around anymore. Let's see. It says, "Can we believe our eyes? Has the Amazing Spider-Man turned to crime? The editors sincerely feel that this may well be one of the most gripping tales of the year. Before very, very long, you are about to meet a startling different breed of arch-villain. Expect," I can't believe I read it, arch-villain, like I've never heard of an arch-villain before. Okay, get with it, take two. Before very long, you are about to meet a startling different breed of arch-villain. Expect the unexpected when you see Mysterio. And of course the title, Menace of Mysterio. And as Spider-Man makes his escape, he makes sure that he's seen, and he webs up some guards on the roof, and they're like, well, at least we know for certain it's Spider-Man. The next day, news of Spider-Man's robbery hits the streets, and people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. He was such a hero. Even Betty Brant saying, I can't believe this of Spider-Man. I still remember how he saved my life once, and how J. Jonah Jameson wants all of his editorials where he called Spider-Man a criminal to be reprinted. The only person backing him up is Flash Thompson, who says, gee, I don't know, Liz. We can't be positive. He may still be innocent. Oh, knock it off, Flash. He's guilty and you know it. And then we see Peter Parker, who's even doubting his sanity, that maybe he's become a split personality like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Perhaps I did it in my sleep without knowing. We see Aunt May and Peter Parker doing dishes, and Aunt May says, gee, are you worried about the fact that we can't pay any of our bills and our money's running out? And Peter Parker's, I'd be like, well, now? Come on, I don't have enough on my plate, old lady. And you got to remember to filter everything through the retconned perception of Aunt May knowing that he's Spider-Man, especially when she says, oh, he's such a thin-skinned little boy. Anyway, so Peter Parker can't sleep at night because he's worried about what he may do when he falls asleep. Of course, he does fall asleep, and when he wakes up, there's another robbery, and he decides to see a psychiatrist And he asks him, is it possible that someone could do something asleep that they would never do when they were awake? So the psychiatrist says, hey, lay back, relax, tell us all about it. And Spider-Man's thinking, wait a second, if I relax too much, I may reveal who I am. I can't do this. He jumps out the window saying he's changed his mind, and he makes his way to the Bugle. Hold on. The races are on. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, so he makes his way to the Bugle where Betty Brant's there, and she's like, you're always worried about money and everything. Why don't you get another job? And, just, you know, I know you're sad because you haven't sold some pictures to J. Jonah Jameson. And then he's like, you know, butt out. You told me it's too dangerous for me to take exclusive crime photos. Butt out of my life. And then he goes to ask J. Jonah Jameson for an advance, and of course, you know how well that goes. Don't try to take advantage of me because I'm so soft-hearted. The answer is no, unless you want to sell me the secret of how you take those great crime photos of yours. No dice. I know you must have some sort of special camera. Imagine if I ever told him I wear it in my belt when I'm dressed as Spider-Man swinging over the city on my web. Thanks for nothing, Mr. Jameson. Finally, I know I shouldn't do this while the whole city is hunting for Spider-Man, but the only way I could get the mortgage money for Aunt May is to take some new pics, which will pay me. I know I shouldn't do this while the whole city is hunting for Spider-Man, but the only way I could get the mortgage money for Aunt May is to take some new pics, which JJJ will pay me for, and if I'm lucky, I may spot a crime being committed while I swing through town. Look, it's Spider-Man! After him! Call the police! Don't let him get away! It's worse than I thought. The public hates me now. And the terrible thing about it is, I don't know if they're right. I can't make the money I need, and I may be committing crimes without knowing it. Boy, life sure is a bowl of cherries. The next day, on his way to high school, Liz stops to tell him, hey, look at my new hairdo. And he's like, okay, so she wouldn't talk to me until I start dating Betty, and now she's all over me? What's up with that? Flash sees Liz and's like, gosh, Liz, I almost didn't recognize you. You're beautiful now. Really, Mr. Thompson? And what was I before, pray tell? Because, you know, women. Meanwhile, at J. Jonah Jameson's office, what did you call the meeting for, JJJ? Some nut sent me a note saying he could get rid of Spider-Man single-handedly. I told him to come up here and prove it. Look at the door. I am Mysterio. What a get-up. He's cornier looking than Spider-Man. Ladies and gentlemen, the first appearance of Mysterio. And Mysterio tells J. Jonah Jameson that he could take care of Spider-Man if he wants the Spider-Man menace to be taken care of. All he has to do is follow the instructions in this envelope. And it says, print a notice in the Daily Bugle saying if Spider-Man wants to learn the truth about himself, he should meet Mysterio atop the Brooklyn Bridge, and as soon as they read it, it disappears. You know, JJ, if Spider-Man can be beaten, I've got a hunch that Mysterio is the one to do it. Well, we've got nothing to lose. I'll print that notice, and if it means the end of Spider-Man, I'll become a hero to the people in this city. So Peter reads the notice in the Bugle and figures he will go to the bridge, maybe getting some answers behind this little crime spree in his name. When he gets to the bridge, though, he doesn't see anyone until Mysterio appears and says, I am Mysterio, and I will be the one who single-handedly destroys Spider-Man. This makes Spider-Man jump towards him, and Mysterio just jumps right behind him, flips over, kicks him in the back of the head. Boot to the head. Spider-Man keeps swinging but can't lay a blow. He tries to kick him. He can't land a kick, so he decides to web him up, but it appears like Mysterio stops his webbing midair and then dissolves it just with a wave of his hand. Too bad, Spider-Man. Your puny little bag of tricks is almost exhausted, but there is no limit to my powers. See how easily I can elude you any time I desire. Mysterio disappears into a cloud of smoke. Spider-Man, overconfident, jumps in thinking his spider sense will help him. Unfortunately, though, his spider sense isn't working in the cloud. So Mysterio uses this to his advantage, and while Spider-Man cannot see him, he can see Spider-Man, so he continues to beat him and beat him. Thinking he can't win, Spider-Man jumps off the bridge into the water. Mysterio gloats that, now nobody can defeat me. The police decide they're going to pick up Spider-Man, but he creates a dome to hold air so he could swim away. Later that night, he thinks to himself, at least he figured one thing. The next day, there's a ticker tape for Mysterio. Everybody's excited except for Flash Thompson, who sees him as a phony, and he's mad at Peter Parker. So he tells him stay away from Liz, and he's like, you can have her. And then we join Mysterio and J. Jonah in his office, and he's saying, hey, at some point Mysterio is going to be defeating Spider-Man, and here's the photographer that's going to take the pictures. This is Peter Parker, and Peter Parker's like, well, I hope I don't disappoint either of you. But Peter Parker uses this opportunity also to hide a spider tracer in the folds of Mysterio's cape. This makes him excited. He wants to get into costume as quickly as he can, so he kind of brushes off Betty Brant. And when Mysterio leaves J. Jonah Jameson's offices, the spider tracer begins to become active. So Spider-Man ends up attacking Mysterio, who just uses the same old smoke trick to beat the teetotal hell out of Spider-Man. And Spider-Man's like, okay, I can't beat you, but admit it, you're the one that committed the crime. And for some dumb reason, Mysterio's like, of course, I'm the only one that could imitate your powers. But since you know that little bit, let me tell you everything. Stupid 1960s storytelling. Okay, gang, so we've got the monologuing villain. Here we go. I might as well tell you the whole story, for I shall see to it that you never tell anyone else. I used to be a movie stuntman, and then I became a special effects man for TV movies. I designed all sorts of costumes and props. Then I got the idea of imitating you. I spent many long weeks studying all your powers, all your abilities, everything that was known about you. I was sure I could duplicate your feats. Whatever Spider-Man does naturally, I'll find a way to do artificially. Using all the skill I had acquired designing movie props, I made a gun which fired a nylon cord resembling your own web. I designed shoes and gloves with special suction cups enabling me to cling to walls. My suction cups work. From a distance, no one will know I'm not really Spider-Man. My plan seemed perfect. I could commit all sorts of crimes and you would get the blame. But then I got still a greater idea. I would create a separate identity for myself. I'd call myself Mysterio. And then I'd battle you. And when I defeated you, I'd be a national hero, for no one would know that Mysterio was both the criminal and the conqueror. My helmet is based on the principle of your eyepieces. I could see out, but no one else can see in. I created a fine spray made of specifically treated acid, which was for the sole purpose of dissolving your webs if you should ever use them against me. The bottom of my boots contain chemical smoke ejectors, as well as magnetic plate springs, which enable me to duplicate your own amazing leaps. Even my name, Mysterio, was created to instill awe and fear in the hearts of my enemies. I was able to see you within my protective cloud because I have a built-in sonar device which aids me at the same time as it does your own spider sense. And now I shall dispose of you forever. Don't count on it, Big Mouth. I've got to stay around long enough to give this tape recorder to the police and prove my innocence. A miniature recorder? Bah! It'll do you no good. I'll destroy it after I've defeated you. And this is why you don't do the monologuing villain bit, the old secret miniature recorder trick. But then Spider-Man Then Spider-Man dodges his first blow in the smoke, figuring if he stays on the outside of it and just keeps swinging. Just keep swinging, just keep swinging, swinging, just keep swinging. He'll eventually hit Mysterio, and he never thought of doing this before. And finally he does, and he knocks Mysterio all the way into a different movie set. Reason number 2 never to be a monologuing villain. As Spider-Man leaps forward, Mysterio tries to use his tricks to stop him, but of course Spider-Man now knows exactly what he's doing, so he knows how to counter him, and he continues to give chase. And every time Mysterio tries to get the upper hand, Spider-Man has a way of countering him, except for one way. As soon as the people see that Spider-Man's beating Mysterio, they say, "Hey, stop him, Spider-Man's gone bad." So Mysterio, when Spider-Man gets close, tries to use his smoke on him again. But Spider-Man says, "Your concealing smoke screen won't help you while I can use my spider sense, and you can't stop me from using it if I smash your jammer like this." And he hits him into the chest. "And now I'll do you the best favor of all. I'll finish this off quickly so that you won't get too bored." And before he does that, though, Spider-Man jumps out of the battle so he could set up his camera to take pictures of him defeating Mysterio. And now one last plunge into Mysterio's cloud of mist, and I'll wrap this thing up for good. Spider-Man knocks out Mysterio and carries him to the cops. J. Jonah Jameson goes in because he heard Mysterio is with them, but finds out that Spider-Man's innocent and Mysterio's the criminal. Oh no, I'm going to be the laughing stock again, he says, and he's all sad when he goes into his office, but then sees the pictures of the fight that Peter Parker had taken, and he's happy again. And as J. Jonah Jameson is writing out a check for Peter Parker, Spider-Man flies in. Got time for a visitor, JJJ? I just dropped by to congratulate you on a perfect record. So far, you've been 100% wrong about me. I've got to hand it to you. I'll bet it's not easy to make a fool of yourself all of the time. What are you going to do? I just dropped by to help you, old pal. I figured you need a new outlook on life, so I thought I'd give you one there. And, of course, this is a very famous pose. As a matter of fact, it's in the Spider-Man ride at the very end. Help me get down from here. I'll get you for this yet, you masked menace. See if I don't. Look, it's Spider-Man, the one who caught Mysterio. And so Spider-Man is vindicated by the public then. The next day, looks like you were right all along about Spider-Man, Flash. I'm right about everything. But what about you, knothead? Are you satisfied now that Spider-Man is one of the greatest guys around? Heck no, Flash. Personally, I still wouldn't trust him any further than I could throw him. Minutes later, poor Flash, if he only knew the real identity of his favorite hero. It would be worth anything to tell him someday, just to watch him explode. But that day is still in the future. Until then, fate has many more surprises in store for Spidey. And there you go, gang, the first appearance and origin of Mysterio, Amazing Spider-Man number 13. And frankly, I liked it. I thought this was a good origin story. I thought, of course, it had the monologuing villain, and it didn't need that. That kind of messes things up when they do that. It's an easy way out for writers, in all honesty. But still, it's an entertaining story. I didn't think it had too much Silver Age silliness in it. So overall, yeah, good call. Good call on this one, guys. And thank you very much for the commission and everything. But what did you think? Let me know in the comments below. Did you like the book? Did you hate the book? Or do you like or hate the video? That's important as well. Don't forget to click like and share if you did like this video. YouTube's not sharing my videos anymore, so I need all the help I can get. Speaking of, don't forget to click subscribe and ring that notification bell. That's one thing I know YouTube is also not doing properly. But mostly, if you don't mind, help out the channel going over to Patreon or to YouTube. This way we're trying to make a living, and you'll help us keep the lights on, the whole nine. You help me get my family back together. And if you want me to work for a living, which I am more than happy to do, go on over to Ko-Fi. Go on over to Ko-Fi and commission a video just like this one. You tell me what characters to talk about and what category to do. Choose a bad comic beatdown, or maybe you want to vindicate a story that has a bad reputation. You want to see, hey, is it really that bad? Or how about put down a book that's really got a good reputation? Find out, is it really that good? Comic book origin of any character or any team would be awesome, or even a top 10 list. I'd be more than happy to do that. And I had a lot of fun with Mysterio. I'd like to thank everybody who's already commissioned and already helped out with Patreon and Ko-Fi, and to all the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.